Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 190 of Lonely Gods. I'm your host, David, and I'm joined here, as always, by Kate.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi, Kate.
I have a headache because I played Suikoden 3 too much all day.
I feel more prepared than I've ever been for one of these episodes.
I'm glad you feel that way because I feel very lackadaisical and kind of not caring about anything that's not a 2002 RPG.
Not only did I actually re-listen to one of the stories this week,
I'm glad one of us did, but we'll get to that.
I ended up really liking it.
Oh,
well, maybe
sake.
not really liking it. I liked parts of it.
Well, I'm glad you've developed Stockholm Syndrome.
and I paid attention and watched the TV story today, so I feel like it's super fresh.
Yeah.
And ready.
Okay.
So starting off, do we have any Doctor Who news?
There's actually quite many things from Big Finish over the past 2 weeks, I suppose. So the first thing they announced this box set called I don't know if it's called the 8th of March, but that was like the headline news title.
I don't love that.
I don't like it either. But anyway, it's like this box set that's supposed to be like for like the Women's Day, International Women's Day, whatever thing next year. And it's box set, and it's gonna have like Benny and River and Vastra and like whoever the fuck else. And I don't know. I'm not particularly interested. Usually things that are targeted to capitalize on that kind of a thing are either cynical or pandering or both. So I don't know. It'll probably be fine.
It'll probably be entertaining but forgettable.
Yeah, well, that's Big Finish for you.
Yes.
Well, I would say that's Doctor Who for you, honestly.
That's also very true.
They've also announced the next slate of Torchwood single releases. The season 6 audios are ongoing as of a few weeks ago.
Wait, there was a season 5?
Yes.
Wait. Yes.
Yes.
Kate, why aren't we there yet?
Because we have like 30,000 fucking audios between here and now.
I feel like I care more about that than I care about the season that's currently airing of Doctor Who.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the sentiment that I've seen from most people. I don't think people have been calling it totally shit or anything, but like, I saw like relatively, like, solid response for the premiere and the first couple of interest seems to have tapered off pretty quick, and it's a lot more kind of and lukewarm.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that at all. I meant that.
I know that you didn't, but I'm stealing your point, and I'm going off in another direction to say that the buzz has cooled down, kind of. But I mean, we're mid-season,
like
so.
But it also, I do agree with you, but I feel like the murmur has still been this is consistently good Doctor Who. Maybe not great, but good.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I mean, maybe we're hearing different things, but for me, it started out, this is perfectly decent, solid, and then it's kind of gone, this is kind of, whatever. So it's gone down by like 1 degree, basically. We still haven't hit the shit zone, apparently, but
yeah.
And I think part of it is probably just, at least in terms of like, just, pop culture awareness or whatever. It's just because now you're mid-season, the novelty is probably worn off. So
yeah, which I actually totally agree with. Though I will say I did see those headlines saying that whatever the last episode was apparently changed canon, which
what changed canon?
I don't know. I didn't read the article because I didn't watch the story yet. I wasn't gonna ruin it for myself.
Was that like just this Sunday or the one before that?
I think this week. It was this week.
Oh. I thought it was something about the fucking Punjab is what I saw for episode titles.
I don't know, but
I'm curious. I'll have to look this up now.
But it was also one of those stupid headlines like, did Doctor Who do this? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't watch it.
The answer is probably no.
Probably not. Or probably it talked about something so obscure no one knew about it. Besides like us.
Well, I mean, maybe. It would be the first time Doctor Who has changed its mind. I can get real anal about Star Trek canon, but for the most part, I tend to let Doctor Who slide just because it's a time travel show and things have been overwritten so many times.
I mean, if it's like stupid, then like we'll call bullshit. But like,
well, yeah, I mean,
like technically, I'm still,
if you all of a sudden, for example, added the idea that Time Lords could say change their gender, I might think that was stupid. But you know, if it's a small thing, then
Well, I mean, they've talked about that before, though. At least, like, that wasn't a new concept for
it was
when
it was a new concept when like
the new show introduced it.
from
Yes.
Stephen Moffat onwards, particularly. I mean,
Well, it
I think
was
there were
specifically they introduced that in the Neil Gaiman Doctor's Wife episode.
yeah, and then the Master, and then they pushed it with like a couple other background characters, and like, and I mean, before that, it had been like it was in that a couple of obviously a couple. There was it was the Fatal Death parody special, and there was a couple other like one-off references, like as a joke, but it's a pretty new invention when you look at a 55-year time scale, but that's not the point.
No, I was going to more bring up the idea that, you know, I still don't necessarily love the idea of the War Doctor, but I like William Hurt as the War Doctor. I like that story a lot.
That's John Hurt.
So, oh yeah, you're right, John Hurt.
And he's dead.
He is dead, and it's very sad.
Yeah.
He was
well,
on
I mean,
Alien.
I didn't like the War Doctor either, just because I was a big Paul McGann fan, and I was like, man, why didn't you let Paul McGann do all this juicy Time War shit?
That's true, but also they brought Paul McGann back to TV, so you have to appreciate that.
I know, and that little short is so good.
It's so fucking good.
And but
we're almost there, Kate.
War Doctor
almost,
is still.
We're like a year and a half at minimum away.
Yeah, you know, it's almost, and but yeah. Anyway, the point was Doctor Continuity is kind of. Yeah, it's I hate to be a Tumblr Whovian, but it's kind of wibbly wobbly. So
yeah.
Anyway, getting way back off to our point from like
was there any more news
ago. Yes, Torchwood. So
we already talked about that.
No, we didn't. I didn't finish because we got sidetracked with like 30 other things. Torchwood, the next year's slate of Torchwood single releases, not the season box sets, not the special event box sets, and not for whatever reason the random Torchwood 1 box sets they do for some reason. They've announced what that's going to be, and apparently it's going to be a string of stories matching up Torchwood with classic Doctor Who monsters. Which I think is going to be kind of interesting, because on the TV show that they didn't really get a lot of that, and they haven't really done that in the audios yet either. They had the Cyberwoman episode, which was embarrassing. And I don't know. I can't really think of any other like.
No, at first I was like, what does that mean? And then I realized, I was like, oh yeah, they haven't. All of the Torchwood monsters are like new monsters.
Yeah, mostly. So. They have announced.
There's a reason that show feels like an adult version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, so they've announced there's going to be a. I mean, the single Torchwood releases, for anyone who's unfamiliar, tend to focus on a single character rather than the whole ensemble, which is kind of more reserved for the box sets.
Because it's more expensive.
It's a lot more expensive and hard to schedule. But anyway, so Gwen Cooper's going up against the Fendal from Image of the Fendal in Night of the Fendal. We have Susie, yeah, that one, going up against the Slitheen in Sync. We have Reese going up against the fucking Autons in Sargasso.
That's awesome.
And the most interesting one to me is Captain Jack teaming up with Joe to take on the giant maggots from the Green Death.
Oh my god.
Yes.
I want that so bad.
Yes. Captain Jack and Josephine Grant, excuse me. Yeah. Oh, yes.
I had forgotten how much I missed Joe until we did that recent audio, and I was like, oh, yes, Joe is wonderful.
Yeah, she is. So, furthermore, they've now announced a Paternoster Gang box set with Vastra, Strax, Jenny, the whole thing. This is the first time Big Finish has been able to use all of those characters together. We've had a couple one-offs with just Vastra or just Strax, but now we're getting them all together. I don't like those characters.
You like Strax.
I think Strax is funny in small doses. But I don't like those characters in general. And I don't know if they're worth carrying their own story, because they got an awful lot of screen time towards the end of Matt Smith's tenure, and I didn't find them very interesting.
I liked them at first, and the more they put them on, the more I never disliked them like you do, but I like it started to wear a little thin.
Well, they wore a little thin, and it's not just that I dislike the characters. It's more the fact that they are the worst example of the problem the new series has with treating history like a playground.
Yes.
Where, you know, it's set in the Victorian era, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's just set dressing for their like lesbian lizard romance, and it's like, there's no consideration given to the time period and the setting and you know, treating it logically and intelligently. It's just background, and I hate that because you know, as I've said over the past few episodes, we've been watching the classic series from the start with my husband, and like the historicals, especially in the Hartnell era, like when you were in a period of history, that was front and center, like part of the plot for the vast majority of them, and it mattered. And
we usually complain when it doesn't matter.
Yes, and the conflicts that come from that, and the exploration of the society of the time is part of what makes those episodes interesting. So the way the new series kind of is just very flagrantly disregarding these things bugs me, and these characters are the worst of it.
You know what? I wouldn't even, like, you can, sure, Strax, okay, I'm actually kind of okay with that. Like, if Vastra wasn't a Silurian, I would probably be completely okay with it. Like, it wouldn't bother me. If it turned out that the whole Sherlock Holmes thing was women instead of Holmes and Watson and all that, because don't forget, we didn't mention that, but don't forget that is part of their characters. They're supposed to basically be Sherlock Holmes and Watson.
Well, yes, except for Sherlock Holmes is already in the Who universe through the seventh Doctor. But we'll get to that anyway. But I mean, you know, I guess, but like the thing is like they put way too many hats on it to the point where it strains credibility, because like,
yeah,
you know, okay, if she was a Silurian, okay, fine, she could pass herself off as a freak show member or whatever, because that was the thing. If she was a lesbian, okay, fine, they could kind of play that a little coy. But being a lesbian and a lizard and being blatant in front of everybody and doing this, that, and it's like, it's too much. It's too much.
And then you're also coupling it with the fact that the Silurians aren't supposed to look like that. I like the makeup the way that looks now, but
no,
they were giant lizard monsters.
They were giant lizard monsters, and now they turn into green Asari, and they're all women for some reason. Well, like, have we even seen a male Silurian on the new series?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't. Maybe it's a sex difference. Maybe the women look like that and the men look like the classic one. I don't know, but yeah. But I mean, I think pretty sure there was episodes where like they were attracting stares from people in the streets, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're married, haha," and like prancing off, and it's like you would never get away with that.
There's
no way.
Some explanation, even if it's just like a weird, like, I know you don't. I love it, and I know you don't love it, but how. The Doctor Who Christmas Carol special is like this weird cyber Victorian planet. Like you could do that and it would be fine, but the fact that it's specifically Victorian England on Earth.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and it's the classic series very much was that, you know, real Earth history for the most part was not for fucking with. I mean, especially early on, they got lax about it as they went on for sure, but. I mean, I suspect that they might be wanting to position this as kind of a replacement for Jago and Lightfoot.
No.
Because.
No.
Well, what else are they gonna do? Lightfoot's dead. Like.
But I don't want that.
Well, I don't want that either. But I mean, the actor is dead. I mean, you've only got Jago left. Like, what are you gonna do? So I would suspect for a Victorian supernatural investigation series, Big Finish is trying to slot this into Jago and Lightfoot's old slot to fill the hole.
Can we team them up together?
Well, we already have. We've had Strax with Jago and Lightfoot.
Well, I know, but can we, since one we've lost one, can we just, instead of just having like merge them together now? I don't want just one.
Well,
Frankenstein and even if it's bad, I would prefer that.
Maybe. I mean, Big Finish loves their crossovers. We could get a Sherlock Holmes, Paternoster gang, and Jago clusterfuck, Victorian clusterfuck at some point.
When do we get to Jago and Lightfoot?
Well, pretty much any time after Colin Baker, basically.
So in 8 months.
Yeah, soonish if I can afford the box sets by then. So yeah, and then the last news item was just posted today. They've announced a little bit more news about their upcoming 20th anniversary box set. 20th anniversary for Doctor Who at Big Finish, not the show, obviously. The Legacy of Time, which is slated to be, actually, like we just mentioned, a huge crossover clusterfuck. And they've mentioned that the Fifth Doctor will be pairing up with Jenny. And I am completely and totally uninterested in that at all. I don't mean to sound so Debbie Downer and like cynical and stuff, but like the Jenny character doesn't really do it for me. That the Doctor's Daughter episode didn't really do it for me.
I didn't know who you were talking about until you said that.
Yeah, and then, well, see, there you go. And I'm like 100% sure the only reason this is happening is because Peter Davison and Georgia Moffat are father and daughter, and they wanted to put them together because ha ha ha. But you know,
we'll see. Maybe it'll be good.
We'll see. Well, I mean, yes, and like for all the negative shit that I said about like Vastra and everything, like for the most part, Big Finish is good at improving things that didn't work on the show. So I don't know.
Necromantia was one of the early stories, so.
Well, okay, look. Everybody has their missteps, and that's probably the worst one.
That's what I'm saying, is they fucked up and they haven't done it that bad again that we know.
No.
At least with Doctor Who. There could be some other property that they fucked up even worse, but we don't
know. No, I mean,
that.
there's definitely been some not very good ones, but I don't think, other than Minuet in Hell, I don't think they've ever crawled into that much of a pit.
I don't even hate that. You hate that one way more than I did.
I do hate it more than you do, and for our analogy, it doesn't work anyway, because that was before Necromantia. So
yeah, that was one of the first ones.
I think it was like number 19 or something, so yeah, it was pretty early on. But anyway, that's the giant audio roundup news. I fucking hope things are good, but I'm dubious of of many of them.
I swear to God, I will watch more modern Doctor Who, and
you'll have to, because I'm steadfastly ignoring it.
We're gonna get there, and you're gonna get stuck. And I bet what's gonna happen is, unless John gets frustrated and quits, you're gonna get through Doctor Who, and you're eventually gonna catch up, and he's gonna be like, okay, we need to keep going because there's more, and you're gonna be like, but no, and then he's gonna be like, but please, and then you'll cave and you'll do it.
Well, I mean, if he was gonna do that, we'd be at that point already, because like we are caught up on the show.
But he has a distraction with old like he has new Doctor Who to him to fill his.
That's true. That's true.
That's what I'm saying, is once you get through all of that, because I doubt he'll get into the audios like we have. That's too big of a commitment.
No, I mean, he was interested in selected audios, but no way is he doing the full slate. Like, honestly, I don't recommend that to most people unless you're completionists.
Unless you're following along, don't do it. Just listen to the ones we recommend.
Yeah, more or less. But well, I don't know, maybe. But right now we're on Power of the Daleks, so like we're still season 4.
Yeah, no. This
still got a good 18 season buffer for the podcast.
But
whatever.
But I will watch it. But I've been busy, and then it's November, so that means it's Mystery Science Month. So maybe I'll be caught up next month.
Oh man, I haven't seen that show in forever.
Kate, they're doing Mac and Me on the new season.
Yeah, I know, but the new seasons look like they're soyed to oblivion.
They're not. They're really good.
Soy.
You haven't even tried it. You don't know. You're just...
Yo soy el theater misterioso.
They're good, and I saw it live recently, and it was great. Joel's still involved. They can't be soyed. It's the original person.
I don't care. I don't care.
Whatever.
I'm watching Doctor Who and I'm watching Star Trek, and that's it. Leave me alone.
All right, so let's finally get into our Doctor Who for this week.
Holy shit! Yes, please.
So first up, we have a First Doctor early adventure, An Ideal World.
The latest one. We're current. We're relevant. Yay!
Stars are Stephen and Vicky in the First Doctor.
Yes, as all of these episodes for all 4 of the early adventures this season are going to be Stephen and Vicky joints. They kind of wanted to make it into a little mini season.
I don't mind that at all, because they're 2 of the best still alive Doctor Who audio actors that we have, for like the First Doctor especially. Like,
oh well, yeah. I mean, because like before then, I mean, with William Russell retired, really all you have is Susan.
Yeah,
and then after that, I mean, Jackie Lane doesn't act anymore and hasn't for like 40 years.
And we don't want her to.
And we don't want her to anyway.
She can be an actress. Like, I'm totally fine with that, but I don't want her to. I don't need any more Dodo.
Don't need any more Dodo.
We had too much already.
And then I guess like the only other option is Ben and Polly, but for in my brain, like there's
we have a recast Ben now, so
we do have a recast Ben, and we have had stories with them for sure. But
no, the Ben and Polly stories were great, but I mean Ben and Polly also work with the second Doctor.
Yeah,
so.
in my brain, I associate them with Troughton way more than I do with Hartnell,
because they're barely with Hartnell.
They're on TV anyway, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I like having Jamie in the mix with them.
Yeah, well, we just like having Jamie around. Period.
Well, sure,
but yes, but I think. Because Susan's still fantastic, but she also, like, she's
part of a group.
But you hear the difference and stuff too. Steven and Vicky still like.
Oh yeah, their voice.
Yeah, and they can still project. Like you can hear that they're much older too, but they're able. And I mean,
I don't know. I think
first Doctor is fantastic.
Yeah. Peter Purvis, though, I think he captures Steven really well. And Maureen O'Brien, like having watched her episodes recently on TV, like I don't hear really much of a difference at all.
You can hear it's like that's what I'm saying is you can hear it's like I'm not going to say it's not there, but like you can like close your eyes and lose yourself in this old Doctor Who episode. Like
absolutely. I mean, they do differentiate. I mean, between their normal like speaking voice when they're doing narration versus when they're acting as the character. But yeah, I mean, like Carol Ann Ford, I don't hate Susan. I know like a lot of people kind of rag on Susan. I don't really know why, but
no, we like Susan. I mean,
she's fine. But the thing
there
is,
are problems with her character just that were innate in the writing at the time. Like she got headaches and fell down and like slept a lot. Like
less than she gets shit for, but it did happen. And I think part of the issue with Susan is that she works as part of that original crew. She's part of a group. Yeah. I don't think she didn't really work on her own for me. And like voice wise, you are right. Out of the actresses we have, Carol Ann Ford is the one that sounds the most like your aged grandmother. Nowhere near as bad as Deborah Watling sounded when she was alive and doing these as Victoria, because holy shit. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. But anyway,
point stands.
This is a completely unnecessary digression.
Well, this is, I mean, if you want to bring it back up, this is a traditional Big Finish episode, solid but not super memorable.
I thought it was pretty good.
I liked it. No, but like, yeah.
I will say this in its defense. Both this one and our Fifth Doctor audio this week, I listened to while I was playing Project Cars on mute. And I understood this one, and I had no idea what was going on with the Racnoss. So this one must have been written better.
I think that might be because the Racnoss suck in audio.
Yeah, they really do, but we'll save that for later.
They might kind of just suck, period. But
yes, they do.
I liked that story, but I don't like them very much. There are other reasons I like that story. Anyway, An Ideal World is a fantastic example of taking a more modern sci-fi concept and making it work in classic Doctor Who. Because the story is about the Doctor and crew land on a planet. Are they on the planet?
Yeah, they land on the planet.
Okay. And are recovered basically by a survey team.
It's a survey team that's like on this like generational colony ship that was sent from Earth to colonize an ideal world. And they found this planet, and so their 50-year voyage is almost at an end. And but before that, they have to do surveys to make sure that there are no intelligent life forms there for their terraforming process, because wipe them out.
Yeah, because there's a whole thing where they land on the planet and they don't have like environment suits or whatever. So there's an obviously, it's a dramatic but obviously not going to work out in the negative part where Steven gets recovered first and they like decontaminate him and put him in a suit and stuff. And they're like, well, we have to find the Doctor and Vicky because they're on this planet with air that's not like that turns poisonous at a certain point and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's like mist or something like that. There's certain mist or whatever.
It's like Adric's planet.
Yeah, exactly. That will suck the breath out of you or whatever. But anyway, what it comes down to is that
there was an initial, well, so they talk about, it's really funny because they get into this whole, I mean, you could call it sci-fi, like, fuck, what's the term, Kate?
Technobabble?
Yes, technobabble. But it's interesting where they talk about how, well, the colony ship is convinced that the Doctor, Stephen, and Vicky are part of a separate colony ship that's come here to try to steal their claim, basically.
Yeah, more or less. And so, like, the internal conflict on the colony ship is the survey team, which is headed up by, like, the chief ethics person, and the captain, who is much more pragmatic, much more ruthless, and so they're butting heads because obviously the ethics person is like, you can't do that. This is the right thing to do. And the captain's like, well, this is the smart thing to do. So,
but they do have the technobabble conversation I'm talking about. Is they're like, well, how the hell did the Doctor get here? We were sent out first. In the time we were gone, did Earth technology develop to send a faster ship? And of course, that's not the case. That's the way the TARDIS works. But I like the part at the end of the story that it's like, that did happen.
Yeah, I don't know. No, it didn't.
Well, but there was a second ship.
There was another ship that got there first, but it was a class of ship that they thought was a prototype that was abandoned that actually had launched in secret, I believe.
Something like that.
But I did like the idea of developing faster ships, because I think, like, IRL, basically the idea is like, if our technology advances to the point that we have to launch a generation ship, you're probably gonna
overtake
it. You're gonna overtake them with newer stuff. By the time the generational colonists get there, that's a very modern sci-fi concept, and it's not just modern sci-fi, but it's pretty hard sci-fi idea.
Mm-hmm. And we love when Doctor Who gets hard sci-fi. Well, and here's another.
Well, especially with Stephen, like, if you remember, like, cold equations, when he has to, like, calculate orbital trajectories and stuff, right?
Cold equations.
So, I mean, I just think that kind of thing suits Stephen really well.
But then we also get the very hard and modern sci-fi concept of the villain of the story is a Grey Goo situation. It's that this first ship that landed here, essentially integrated. It's I mean, the Grey Goo concept's more of like a nano machine going, disassembling. It all becomes a gelatinous mass, basically a Grey Goo. Yeah. But that's basically what happens: is all of the life forms merge into one cloud consciousness. But it's even kind of a horrifying flesh monster. Yeah,
basically what happened is, like, that when the ship landed, I guess it was like the ideal evolution format or whatever to thrive on this is that the colonists were basically.
It was a DNA ship that was supposed to.
Yeah, the colonists, like, merged into, like, this one sort of giant hive mind, and it's since, like, it's spread through the whole planet, where the plants and the animals and everything, it's all just part of this one giant shared consciousness.
It's Ego, or I don't remember the Green Lantern planet's name.
I don't know,
but
there's a game called Racnoss where you have a planet as a party member. In that, anyway, yeah, but so like the computer for that original thing is there, and I mean the plot with this is, like, the Doctor gets sick, and there's this plot point where Stephen and Vicky are from more advanced spacefaring ages than the colony ship is, so they have, like, nanite space medicine or whatever to bolster their immune systems.
Okay, maybe, you know what, I misspoke earlier. This is I did really like this story. It's not forgettable. Like, this was super fun.
So, but anyway, so the doctors don't work because I guess he has different biology, and these guys on the ship don't have this. It's not developed yet, so we have to find out what's making the Doctor sick. And I think it's like the Gestalt entity is, like, basically microbially invading him or whatever. But so the point is that the computer on the original ship wants the colonists to basically succumb to this and be taken over and sort of become one with the fucking world.
Merge or die, basically.
Merge or die, yeah. And then things get kind of odd.
Well, so we should note there's a very interesting dichotomy of characters here on the two sides, because on one side we have the merged colony mind, And that's and it's never handled like they're not an out villain. Like the reason why they want to merge everything is because there's been all these hostile actions, and they see this as the only proper solution to the problem, where like, you know, life is going to keep going. It's not like they're killing everyone.
Yeah, but they also take over people's bodies and make them belch out worms and rats and stuff.
Yes, no, I know. I didn't mean
super
I was
gross.
Literally about to get to the part that it's not an ideal solution, and it's fucked up, but it leads to the least loss of life. And on the other side, we have the doctor helping out the colony ship and the ethical lady, and we have this really good option. But then to throw in the mix, we basically have like a character who you could totally see in a Western of like, oh, we're going, you know, the military leader lady is very cavalier and reminds me a lot of the characters I've been seeing as I play the new Red Dead.
Okay, so that whole dilemma I felt was it struck me as a little odd, because like toward the end, basically the captain wants to nuke the ship into oblivion, basically.
The planet.
And the ship computer, like the AI on the planet, right? Because it's basically, it's like merge or die. And
even though the only reason they're in the merge or die situation is because she's been so outwardly hostile.
She has been outwardly hostile, but you know, the doctor is very like morally adamant that opposing the hive mind is the wrong thing to do, and the captain was a bad person for wanting to not merge with it. The ethics lady ends up shooting the captain to make her own choices and basically do what the captain said anyway. And he's like, that was the wrong thing to do too. And it's like, I didn't really get what they were going with there, because like,
I disagree.
Number one, hang on. Like, number one, okay, a lot of this was their own doing. Okay, fine. The hive mind has a right to life. Okay, fine. The third point that I can't quite get on board with is that they should give up and merge with it, and that would be a good thing because they would evolve. It's like, I can't disagree with the captain for not wanting to lose her own individuality and become part of the fucking instrumentality project. The doctor's argument that that's a good thing does not make sense to me.
That's true. Okay.
I mean, yes, obviously you shouldn't scorch the earth. You should pack up and go somewhere fucking else. But when a computer hive mind is like, I want to break your fucking consciousness down to nanites and like spread it across the whole planet, my response would also be, fuck no. Like, are you kidding me?
I mean, at a certain point, I think like the argument doesn't start as that though, but that becomes the eventuality.
That does become the eventuality. It's just, I found it strange that they're positioning the doctor as advocating this loss of self as a good thing.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why he becomes a Buddhist later. I don't know, but like, it struck me as odd that was the right choice, was apparently to surrender and basically die.
Yes, it's not a perfect story.
No, it's not an ideal script,
but
it was an ideal world.
Thoroughly entertaining.
It was good. I liked it. I mean, I don't know that I'll revisit it anytime soon, but it was a good episode.
So next up, we have a shorter conversation.
Okay.
Not just because it's half the length in the story.
Yes.
This is just it's a old doctors, new monsters, hour-long story.
Classic doctors, new monsters. They're not old doctors. Just because they're advanced in age, they're young at heart, man.
You're right.
Rude.
So, called Empire of the Racnoss.
Yes.
We all remember the Racnoss, the bug people.
Oh yeah, the Racnoss. Who could forget those classic aliens that appeared in a single episode that wasn't very good?
They're bug people. They make chittering bug noises.
They're big red spiders that travel the stars in star-shaped web ships made of webs, I guess. Yeah, they were not a candidate I would have selected for exploring further, but this is the second volume of Classic Doctor's New Monsters, and already they were kind of starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel, I think. So the Doctor lands in the middle of a war. Yes, between the Time Lords and the
Racnoss.
And this is not the Time War. This is
the Time War with the Daleks. So
yeah, well, I mean, there was like everybody was drawn into the Time War, but this is like way ancient Gallifrey history, like the era of like Rassilon and Omega or Omega, whatever, when they were like.
I never realized that, and I listened to this twice.
Yeah. So this is like way far back in the dark times of Gallifrey when they were like still like basically solidifying their stranglehold on history under Rassilon. So
yeah, the Time Lords aren't.
They're not very nice.
No, they're not. Until Romana takes over, they're kind of really shitty.
They're pretty shitty. Well, I mean, even after Romana takes over, I mean, listening to Gallifrey, like anytime she wants to make
Romana's trying to fix it,
like the slightest reform, and everyone is mad at her. So.
And then there's terrorism.
And K9 pulls up, and it's yeah.
Kate, this was a side note. I have a K9 figure now.
Me too.
It's so great.
Mine says affirmative master when you push the button.
Mine doesn't have a button. It's just like a little. It's like basically, it's about the size of a Funko Pop, but it's not that. It's just K9.
It's just my little K9 figure, and he lives inside my TARDIS toy.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
So I don't like the Racnoss very much.
No.
They're very annoying to listen to.
Yes.
But I still found the story compelling.
Okay. Well, explain it, because I was bored out of my mind.
So the Doctor shows up in the middle of this conflict. And one of the parts I find interesting, and I always like when Doctor Who does this, is the non-alien side is he's working directly with a Time Lord, which is always fun. Like, I like seeing more Time Lords when it's done well.
The Racnoss have a couple of Time Lords in the brig. And one of the few elements of this that I liked was the Doctor trying to have to play his cards close to his chest because he's from further along Time Lord history than they are.
Yes.
But yeah.
So I liked that part. I liked the character. Well, I like the.
There's a man and a woman, and
the woman's the main.
The woman's the main. What's her name? Elena, I think.
I don't remember.
Alana.
I'm horrible with names.
Yeah, me too.
We listened to too much Doctor Who for me to remember names.
Oh my god! Especially people who appeared on one audio.
Even though I listened to it twice, I don't remember. I just know it's the female Time Lord who I liked.
Female Time Lord, #1.
Yes. So we actually get a moderately compelling political intrigue story where we show up in the middle of this war, and the Doctor's like, both sides. This is not a good situation, and he's just trying to diffuse it, and like it throws everyone off because the Doctor is a Time Lord who they can tell is acting with genuine intent and is not a vindictive asshole, basically.
Even though the Racnoss are themselves vindictive assholes.
Yes, and we'll get there. And then the old timey Time Lords are like, what you're saying makes sense. Like, we're not idiots. We'll concede to logic, and you're trying to help. Like, clearly you're not just trying to fuck everything up. So the Racnoss Queen says, there is a pretender to the Racnoss throne, the previous emperor, who is trying to steal the last hatchery because the Racnoss Queen is essentially sterile. So
I don't know if she's sterile, but like I think she's like hit menopause, basically. She can't have children anymore. She's done.
She's done. Yeah, this is the last batch of children. It's the future of the race. And then we get the political intrigue comes in as we show up. We meet the Emperor. We find out he's the good guy. Basically, he doesn't agree with the war. He was deposed so that this war could ravage and stuff. And he is just trying to save the children before they're conscripted into another army.
Then they hatch and kind of eat parts of him, which is like the only part I remember.
Yeah, they board, like he's not dead, but he's like all fucked up.
Yeah, there's like, oh, they're born hungry and there was no food except me, so they ate my legs and stuff.
Yeah. So then the Doctor made all these deals. The Racnoss Queen turns on him, of course, because I mean we all saw that coming from a mile away.
Well, you can't trust spiders.
No, and the Doctor didn't trust her. He planned for this.
I mean, in Doctor Who, you cannot trust spiders, and you can't trust people that are in charge of anything. So, I mean, a Racnoss queen is like double bullshit.
When it's a spider in charge, you're just double fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so the Racnoss are defeated in the end.
And then the Doctor takes the eggs back to the Dawn of Time so they can grow into the Racnoss. Or whatever, something like that. Yes. Yeah. And then in the most surprising turn of events, the female Time Lord decides she doesn't want to go back to Gallifrey and decides to just continue on with him. But this has not been followed up on ever, so I don't know.
I know, but I like that. I really like that. I liked all of their interactions. That's why I ended up really enjoying the story, as I liked the two of them together. I do want to follow up, but I'm okay if there's not one.
They might. I mean, it only came out summer of last year, so I mean, maybe they'll have another crack at that pairing. I don't know.
And I just really like that moment between them where she's like, I don't really want to go back, and the Doctor's like, basically like yes, that makes me very happy that you don't want to go back and you want to try to figure things out on your own, because that's what, like, it's not like he did influence her, but he didn't do it intentionally. Basically, he showed her options and let her make her own conclusions, and I liked that a lot. I like when the Doctor does that. I like the way he subtly guides people, essentially unintentionally, just by being a role model.
Although, maybe there won't be a follow-up on that, actually. Because I don't know if this was kind of
I don't think they don't really go off together at the end. They just go...
They do. They totally do.
I didn't get the impression that they left to go on adventures together. I got the impression the Doctor was taking her... He just wasn't taking her back.
Taking her somewhere else?
Yeah.
Well, okay, I mean, maybe, but I mean, for all we know is that they leave together, so, I mean, obviously, people take that to mean a lot of things, but... I mean, the reason I was going to say maybe this wouldn't get a follow-up is because I think this was probably commissioned like before they decided to split the Doctors up into having their own producers. So maybe the current fifth Doctor producer doesn't want to do that, or doesn't care. So I don't know. I didn't like this very much. I don't think it wasn't horrendous. I just thought it was the definition of bland. The Racnoss just don't do it for me.
The Racnoss suck. I like Time Lord stuff. So that's the only reason I actually really enjoyed.
Well, that's the thing. Like the Time Lord stuff, like the Time Lord mythology of like Rassilon's era and the Dark Times and all that stuff, and before they were Time Lords, basically. That's all interesting to me, but you don't really get that. That's just the background for what is essentially bugs squabbling with each other.
No, I know, but like I said, I like the interplay between Peter Davison and this female Time Lord, and that's why when I re-listened to the story to make sure one of us remembered what happened, we both were like, "Wait, what was that about?" I remember bugs and eggs and stuff.
We had a panicked midweek discussion of like, "Wait, what the fuck?" And I was like, "Well, one of us has to listen to this again to figure out what's going on." But re-listening to it, I like that stuff. But no, the Racnoss are fucking annoying and are not good on audio. No,
and they're annoying. Period. I don't like the way they talk. It's frustrating. It's not the Zarbi, but it's like that. It's like, this is just why would you do this? This is bad. You can do an alien voice without chittering. Don't chitter.
Well, there's a lot of chittering and hissing at each other, and like it's
basically it's the closest to audio equivalent to slurping without slurping, and it's like, stop doing that, please.
Yeah, they're not good for audio. I mean, and they did that on TV too. I mean, to be fair to Big Finish, that is authentic to the monster they chose. They probably just shouldn't have chose that one.
And if you want to give me some leeway to be sexist, I will say the Racnoss King was far less annoying than the Racnoss Queen. I don't know if that's the direction or the actor actress, but they were both still annoying though.
I don't know. I mean, I think
I'm over.
He was. I think it was just because he was more low key. Because like the queen was like still in charge, and she was commanding people and this, that, and yelling, and whereas the king is kind of like, yeah, I guess.
I mean, this is a problem in both, but this is more of, I find, a New Who problem. I am completely over the evil female alien overlord character who is very high-pitched and shrill and annoying, and I'm over it. Stop it.
Get used to it, I guess. I mean, the point of these box sets was to do stories in the new series style, so I mean, I guess we're true to that, but I don't know. I didn't like this. I know you like the companion-ish, like, but I didn't like any of the cast in this. I didn't like the Racnoss. I didn't like the Time Lords either. I thought they were pretty...
I mean, I wouldn't recommend this, but I did get some enjoyment out of it.
They were pretty flat, the guest cast, and even Peter Davison seems like he's kind of not doing a whole lot.
All right, Kate, let's move on to TV.
Yeah, okay. I don't have anything else to say about it. Anyway.
No, you don't. That's why I know it's time to move on.
Do you want to fucking lick my balls?
No. You ready to talk about the vengeance of Varos?
Yes. Sorry. Okay. Vengeance on Varos. It's okay. Yes.
When I think of Doctor Who, I basically have two pictures. When I think of classic Doctor Who, I have two pictures in my head. Okay. Both of them are ridiculous caricatures of what the show actually is.
Uh-huh.
But essentially, I can phrase them into, I picture black and white classic Doctor Who as Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
Uh-huh.
And I picture color 70s and 80s Doctor Who as The Vengeance on Varos.
You know, it's odd that you picture Invasion of the Dinosaurs as black and white, because it's...
Oh, is it color?
Yeah, that was a John Pertwee story.
Oh, that's right. But that's what I think of. But it's the stop motion. Christ. It's the stop motion.
Oh, okay. Well, it's the plastic dinosaur drugstore toys being.
It's the stop motion. It's the very bad stop motion puppetry. Yes, that's really what I was thinking of. You're right. That's my bad. But
well, okay.
Which again, both are ridiculous caricatures of Doctor Who. But I think
my biggest memory of like classic Doctor Who, if I had to boil it down to a single image, it's probably Patrick Troughton in a control room screaming at somebody who is in charge that won't listen to him.
So, it's Enemy of the World.
It's Web of Fear. It's Tomb of the Cybermen. It's Fury from the Deep. It's.
But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This episode, I mean, I messaged you. You didn't respond to any of my messages about the Doctor.
And drinking beer.
Let's see if I could. These messages are fresh. I could probably just read them for some not compelling audio.
How about I'll read them and then I'll react. I'll reply to them in real time. How about that? Let's see. What did you fucking write, Dave?
I wrote, I didn't know Ricky Gervais's extra Doctor Who character was based on a real one.
I don't know what that is.
There's a Ricky Gervais show called Extras where he plays a struggling actor. There's an episode where he plays a monster on Doctor Who, and he plays a man-sized slug monster. Okay,
well, I mean, that could be any Doctor Who.
Well, I know, but there's literally a slug monster in this episode.
Yeah, that's Syl, and he's great.
He's fucking stupid, but he's fantastic.
He's fantastic. We're gonna see him 3 more times.
Really?
Once on TV, twice on audio, baby.
Okay, he's gonna come up. We're not gonna see him, Kate.
We're gonna see him in the
cover art.
We're gonna see him.
I said also the story is so angsty that watching the story made me think of Hot Topic.
Well, I would.
It made me think of angsty teenagers.
No. That's 2000s angsty. No, this is 80s. This is Frank Miller angsty.
But it's still the same teenage angst. It's just a different era of it.
Yes, I know, but it's not Hot Topic angsty. This is the Punisher. This is Batman Strikes Again or whatever the fuck that's called. This is grumpy 80s angst.
Yes, because we're in this a world more dystopian than 1984, basically.
Oh my god, isn't it great?
It's so ridiculous and angsty. I loved it. And also, Colin Baker is totally a dick in this. I finally get it.
Like, I mean, yeah, kind of.
Because he's over the regeneration craziness that has shown up for this one regeneration and never again.
Well, I mean,
we've seen weirdness. We've never seen complete like
strangulation
and shit.
Let's see. Oh, you asked me why Perry's name was Perpigillium. I don't know. Why is your name Dave? Like, what do you want me to answer that?
Perpigillium is not a real name.
No, it's not. But we've known that's her name forever, though.
I know, but it's so weird.
It is weird. Her parents were hippies, I guess. I don't know.
Give her a weird American name. Like,
okay, so when you sent this message, this is a thing that is only funny to me because it's something that I've remembered for like the last 10 years.
What?
It's unworthy of it. Okay, so way back in the day when Scrubs was on TV.
Yes, okay, I remember Scrubs. I love Scrubs.
Scrubs is great. Anyway, so there was a Scrubs fan site with a message board that I used to go on. And somebody started a thread with the title, "Why is his name Turk?" And I opened the thread, and the original post just repeated, "Why is his name Turk?" And that's always stuck with me because it's just a stupid question of like, I don't know. Like, what do you mean? Why is his name Turk? It just is.
But like Perry is a name.
Yes.
Perpigillium is not a name.
It's not a name. It makes me think of like grape juice.
This is also why I thought it was Hot Topic angsty, because it sounded like a dumb 2000s name, white people name.
Perpigillium Darkness Raven Way.
It was stupid.
Yeah, okay.
But so specifically when I was like Colin Baker is a dick, it's because it's one scene where it kept happening where it's he asked Perry some stuff and she's like, well, Z, and he's like, it's Zed. And I'm like, fuck you, you're a Time Lord, you're not British.
Well, he's a pompous blowhard.
I know, but he was being a dick. And then there's another part where she's explaining something, and he's chastising her for not properly explaining this thing she doesn't actually understand.
Yes, that's part of the personality. I love it.
He's just such a dick.
I love it, but see, he's being a dick now, at least to me, in an endearing way, as opposed to trying to strangle.
It's too abrasive to after what happened. It's still too abrasive. Like that'd be fine later, but like it just begs the question: why is Perry still traveling with the Doctor? I feel like she should leave.
Yes,
like, I feel like she.
Okay, no, totally, I agree with that. But I would put that fault on Twin Dilemma, and I don't blame the other episodes for that.
But at this point, he's just being it. Like after that happened, she hasn't left yet. I'm like, why? Like now it feels like battered wife syndrome. Like it's like he's just being a dick.
It does. No, it's totally a shortcoming of the show that either they didn't address that or get this, read that script and said, got a big stamp that said no and just went.
Okay.
You know, but I'm just saying, like, I don't blame that on the. I don't.
No, I still really enjoyed the story, which is my other message that we have not said yet. Is I asked you, why do people say the season is bad?
Yeah, you said I thought the season was supposed to be bad. It is supposed to be bad by conventional wisdom. This is bad.
The Twin Dilemma is fucking terrible, but that was last season.
No, yes, it was. I will say this: Attack of the Cybermen and Vengeance on Varos are a pretty strong start, but shit does not stay that way.
Okay. Well, we'll get there. But I like these first two stories quite. Like they're not amazing, but I had a really good time with both of them.
I think Attack of the Cybermen is good, and Varos is great.
Varos is better than Cybermen. Yes, I really enjoyed this. It's so dark. It's so dark. So basically, let's set up the plot because we haven't done that. We've been dancing around the actual story.
Oh, yeah.
So the Doctor keeps messing with the TARDIS, which is an ongoing thing this season. He keeps fucking with the TARDIS, trying to fix stuff and breaking. He fixes one thing and breaks 3 others.
Okay.
So the TARDIS is running low on a specific mineral, and it's fucking with I believe it's the materialization circuits. Or it's like the triangulation for time and space, basically.
Something is wrong with it, and they can't materialize. They've got enough juice left to make like one last jump, and so they have to go to Varos, where they have the mineral that they need to not suck.
It's also very weird that Perry keeps. I mean, I guess it makes sense because she is supposed to be intelligent. She is not a ditzy girl, which sometimes we get from Doctor Who companions. I mean, they've done it to their advantage.
She's a botany student.
She is a botanist. She is a scientist.
Well, scientist in training.
But yes, but she is that way inclined anyway. But she's the one who comes. She's like, well, why don't we just go to the planet with the mineral and get it and then leave? And like she's the one who thinks of that. I mean, I'm sure the doctor would have gotten there eventually, but it was a nice moment between the two of them, and he like thanks her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's just part of Sixy is like he's such a theatrical diva that
He's
like
a blowhard.
his reaction is going to be like, well, I guess we're going to sit here until we fucking die. And she's like, maybe we should go somewhere that we can fix this.
I do like him. He's a weirdo, but I do like him.
And it's like he's sitting in the console room reading a book, like flipping through the TARDIS manual in the chair and a half. Like that's the solution to this. Waiting for death. So
I mean, he did want to go to that planet to just be a hermit and die.
Well,
just absolve his sentence.
I mean,
with Perry.
I don't hold the twin dilemma against Colin Baker or the show in the same way that I don't hold something somebody said to me while they were tripping on acid. You know, it's like
the less we talk about it, we'll never stop talking about it because it's so bad.
No, I mean, how can you ever stop talking about him trying to strangle the companion? And it wasn't Adric.
It's the same reason we'll never stop talking about the Web Planet or Necromania. It's like sometimes you see a story so bad it's permanently seared into your brain.
Oh, like the Underwater Menace.
That's not it's not even that bad. We just
no more gods,
no more fish people. I know, but Kate, that's more of a The Room bad, where you're like, this is a train wreck, but I love it so much.
Stop me now.
It's so dumb. Yeah, no, that's the good kind of bad.
My DVD of that just arrived, by the way.
Nice.
Just gonna pull that hot classic.
You know that's a different situation.
Oh boy.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's funny bad. That was, I mean, the other ones are painful bad.
And I mean, the vengeance on Varos, like, technically approaches it's very cliched and mostly predictable, but it's just so fun. Despite, like, I can't believe how much fun I had with such a dark story. So anyway, so they decide they're going to go to the planet with the mineral, and then we get the background of the planet. It's essentially kind of reminds me of Dune.
Yeah. Yes, very much.
Where there is this more advanced spacefaring trading guild, basically.
As that by Syl the Slugman.
Yes, the tiny Slugman who was hysterical and wonderful. Yes. And
it's played wonderfully by a real midget, and so it was great. And I had forgotten that the guy who played Syl was actually like a legit midget. I thought that like the water tank he sits on, like the like
just disguising him.
Legs would be like disguising it. I was like, no, he's actually just in a tiny little slug suit because he's a tiny little man.
No, you're giving the costume design too much credit.
Well, I mean, I would give them more credit to say that they made a 2-foot-tall slug man with a fully articulated tail that actually works and did not have to hide somebody's like normal legs. I mean, you saw the Slugmen in fucking Twin Dilemma. You can't not deny this.
No, I know. But this is pre Return of the Jedi, right? No? Okay, so this is clearly inspired by Jabba the Hutt then. Down to the fact that he has a mister.
Yeah, something like that.
But it's great because I mean, I love Jabba the Hutt, but Jabba the Hutt is a slug that speaks in gibberish, where this is a cackling maniac.
I like this cackling maniac, though. He's funny.
I do like the cackling. He is funny in the sense that he's like he's what normally would be a stereotypically bad Doctor Who monster, where it's just an evil. It's a mustache twirling villain. It's a monster, but it's a mustache twirling villain. But he's so great because he's juxtaposed against other people and basically gets fucked over by his own people because he is such a mustache twirling villain. He's so greedy.
That's why I thought he's actually a little bit different than what you usually get. Is that it's like you don't have this thing where he's not
the absolute power. Yeah,
he's not eating people. He's not being an evil dictator. He's a greedy businessman.
Yes.
And he's a character first, and the fact that he's a slug dude kind of is a secondary, which I really like, because a lot of Doctor Who will place the fact that they're a weird monster like much to the forefront, right?
They barely talk about the fact that he's a weird monster. It's just who this person is.
Yeah, I think Perry gives him like a weird look a few times, and that's about it. So
yeah, which is great.
until the end, when he tells his like shirtless, muscular black manservant to moisturize him.
Yes.
Which I was like, yeah, I was having flashbacks to what's her face, the piece of skin from the Christopher Eccleston.
Also, his weird bodyguards with their like road warrior bondage gear.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck. See, this is what I'm saying. This is 80s angsty.
It's so great. So he is basically trying to, against essentially the will of his people, basically set up third world labor on this planet.
Yeah, so Varos is like this like dystopian dictatorship of humans.
It's this dystopian dictatorship that's also a democracy because they vote on everything.
Yeah, they have to vote on everything basically, but it's like the governor has to always go on TV for every decision, and
the governor proposes basically an idea, everyone votes yes or no, and if the no's win, they slowly murder the governor until and if he gets too many no's, they murder him and they replace him with someone else.
Yes, perfect form of government. But anyway,
it's so insane.
Yeah, so this is like totally menial dictatorship where like everybody works in the mines, and the rebels and stuff, like they're locked up and they're tortured and executed like live on TV, and that's like the entertainment for the people. And
but then there's this complex bureaucracy on the planet where there are like appointed positions, but then they have specifically written into their form of government that like there are these, like, no one can have too much power. Like, it's like they keep mentioning how their like form of government is made so no one will have too much power, but there's always a clause or a loophole or just someone acting crazy. So
yes, but so basically anyway, Syl the slug boy is there. And I kept wanting to call him Sothasil, and I was like, why does that sound familiar? And I looked it up, and it was from Morrowind, so I was like, no, that's not it. But anyway.
He's working with the chief researcher, torturer, crazy guy in the mask.
The crazy guy in the mask who's not listening to the somewhat reasonable governor. But anyway, Syl is there. He's trying to get a deal struck with new fucking payment deal for the mineral that the doctor needs, and he wants to pay them fucking peanuts on the dollar. He's having an impasse with the governor because the governor wants a higher price, which we later find out is still pennies on
super low. Like they end up like tripling the price, or no, it's like 5 times the price, and it's a reasonable rate. They give them. They don't even like because literally the show ends with Syl essentially being whatever the form of deposed is they get a message from Syl's people that are like,
just pay them. Yo,
we're experiencing a shortage. Pay them whatever they want, and they're like, we'll give you we want the market rate. Like literally, they don't ask for extra. They're just like, well, this is a reasonable rate. It'll keep our people fed. We can end all this barbarism, because basically the executions are suffer because they don't have they have to ration. They don't have enough food and stuff. So they're just like, no, make our society functional and not insane.
And that's one of the things I enjoyed about Syl's plotline so much. It's like the whole story he's building up. He's like, oh, I'm going to call my people that are going to come here with an invasion force. We'll just take over the planet, and then we won't have to pay you guys anything. Da, 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 da. And then he does call them, and this whole time it's like, they're coming. And then when they get there, it's like, stop acting like a dick. Just pay them the money.
He's also another character that would totally fit in an old-timey Western as a crazy venture capitalist who doesn't give a fuck about people, just wants profit.
Oh, he's like George Hurst.
Yes.
It's great.
So it is great. Well, and then because the governor is actually surprisingly reasonable. He's trying to do the best for his people. Like, he's in this untenable position. It's crazy.
He's trying to reform the situation, but
like literally part of the episode opens with he proposes something and he gets blasted with the death ray for a 3rd time, and he miraculously survives, but no one survived a 4th time.
Yeah, his referendum is like, look, we haven't reached an agreement with Slug Boy. I want to keep debating with him. Yes to have me keep playing hardball with him, or no, and we'll just accept his shitty terms. And everyone's like, yeah, just accept his shitty terms. Fuck it, whatever.
We should mention, we keep getting these asides that end up technically, I mean, they're both completely pointless, but also serve as background, and they fill in like the what it's like to live on this planet, because we keep getting these asides with these two people who live together and watch the broadcast and vote. They don't end up actually mattering to the plot.
No,
technically, but they serve the purpose of filling in the world, and
they
were useful. It was good.
It was useful for world building, and it's also the 80s meta commentary on the TV addict, right?
Yes, which again, it was so it just felt so
the TV addict who happily watches executions and torture because the entertainment can be somebody else's suffering, and that's fine.
I didn't think about it until you said it, but you nailed it perfectly on. This is 80s indies comics to a T.
Yeah,
like, it's Judge Dredd. It's all of that.
Yeah, and
it's beautiful.
But like I said, I like the asides to the couple watching TV, because they have good banter between the two of them, and
they both flux and they do a good job of showing them both expressing opinions that you agree with. Like they both act unreasonable and fucked up, and then they both do the opposite.
Yeah, it's like the man is really callous, the woman is a little overly patriotic. But throughout the story they keep making comments on what's going on, and it's kind of nice to have. It's like the Greek chorus, the peanut gallery, kind of on what's going on. So I think they kind of add to the unique atmosphere of this story.
From what you've said, I'm predicting this is going to be the best story of the season.
Probably.
There's also like the doctor shows up and rescues a rebel being tortured, and of course the rebel is just like, our society's fucked up, we should just reform, like not like tear it all down, not like anarchist, like just we should reform. So they're torturing him on live TV, and they're going to execute him. And then
there's this whole subplot with the rebels, because he's like he's been tortured in like the torture pleasure terror dome or whatever, and so basically the Doctor and Perry's plot thread for a lot of the story is trying to make their way to the exit through all the various tortures and traps that have been devised.
I do say I understand when you have at times groaned at new Doctor Who and the Doctor's stance against violence when we look at classic Doctor Who.
Yes.
So there's a death laser, the slow building death laser, I guess.
Yes.
Or like it's like warming up and torturing the guy, and it's going to kill him. And the doctor just spins it around, and then a guard just runs in, gets hit by it, and slowly dies.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of thing that's like right on the line.
But it's also
not too far, because like
you look at that, you're like,
he doesn't directly shoot the guy.
No. I don't look at that.
The guy runs into it on his own. Like,
no, I don't look at that and be like, that's fucked up what you did, Doctor. I'm like, Doctor, you did a thing. And then I look at that, and I'm like, you can see the beam. Why did you run into that?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the whole point was like they devised this like execution for the guy, where it's like, we're gonna set this thing to overload and kill him, but we don't know exactly why it's gonna go off, so we just get
it's torture. It's bad.
That and then like the main one that the pacifist Doctor Who fans get really pissed off about is the acid bath scene.
Yeah, no, was.
For whatever reason, it has this reputation of Colin Baker shoves a guy into an acid bath and then has a one-liner about it. And it's like,
they had a struggle.
Colin Baker has a fight with a guy who then falls into an acid bath because his partner grabbed onto him and dragged him in there, and then he has a one-liner.
Yeah,
it's like a little callous, maybe, but it's not like he fucking killed a guy on purpose.
No, I mean, Peter Davison blew apart Cybermen with a gun.
Yeah, but they're robots.
I know they're robots, but this was an evil security guard.
Yeah, I know. They're both equally generic, but for whatever reason, people have a real bug up their ass about that scene.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was brutal for Doctor Who. In general, it is more brutal for Doctor Who, but no, I did not have an...
Yes.
It was just one of those things I'm like, man, the 80s Doctor Who is more violent, and I can see why fans don't like it, but it's not... The Doctor's not gunning people down.
No, but I mean, but the graphic nature of Attack of the Cybermen, followed on by the graphic nature of Vengeance on Varos, definitely did not do it any favors with the people that were trying to get the show canceled, because they didn't want to have to deal with.
Can we also mention? I can tell we know the budget has been reduced for this season.
Yes,
but in both of these stories, and especially the Vengeance on Varos, they make it work.
Yeah,
they did a really good job with this story. I mean, we have three mustache twirling villains in this story, which is a great counterpoint because the rest of our characters are pretty fully fleshed out and stuff. But we have Syl, who is ridiculous and amazing.
Yes.
We haven't
actually even talked about the bird ray yet.
That's what I'm getting there, because I want to talk about it. And then we have the security guy, who's the one who has basically like this backhanded deal with Syl.
Yes, he's basically like the military commander type that doesn't want to listen to the elected official.
He reminds me of an evil British version of General Briggs.
General Briggs?
Sorry, from Twin Peaks, Briggs.
Oh, Major Briggs.
Major Briggs, not General. Yeah, Major Briggs.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking about Nicholas Briggs for some reason. I know he's got an ego, but I don't know about General.
No, that was mine. But just like an evil British version, because they're both bald military guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just reminded me of him slightly. Okay. If he was an evil mustache twirling villain.
Yeah, and I have to say that guy has an actual mustache. So
yes, he does.
I don't know if he twirls it per se.
No, he does not, but he figuratively twirls it.
Figuratively.
And I'm sure he twirls it in private in his own on his own.
Yes.
And then we have the literal Phantom of the Opera evil scientist. Like cliched evil scientist.
I barely remember, honestly. I've seen Vengeance on Varos probably like 4 times over the years.
Well, mostly like 2/3 of his performance is he has the mask on, which like
yes.
Because there's a lot of like stormtrooper type soldiers, so like it's easy to confuse him with just this guy in a mask. But he's the Bird Ray man. He's the one who has all the facial scarring because he's
not so much a scientist as he is like the chief torturer.
Yeah, he says he's a scientist, but he's the type of scientist that would give someone cyanide just to see what happens.
Yeah,
like that's the type of scientist
he Jews together.
Yeah.
He's a guy. He's also
like his makeup. His facial disfiguration makeup looks really good.
Yeah, it does. Like, that's what you're going back to say with the budget is being cut. And I think one of the things that works with that is like you said, this really works to their advantage. And I think it works on this story particularly because this is a dystopia, because everything is run down and cheap and falling apart anyway. Like honestly, the cheapness only enhances it.
Well, and not only that, but then it's like they put their budget into the costumes and stuff, into the practical.
They spent it where it counts.
Yes, I mean, Syl looks dumb, but in like the perfect practical effect way, like it's the way you want. Like this is
worse.
Oh no! Like he could look ridiculous, but he looks like this is silly, but like it works. Like it never doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Like the design is silly, but I think it's a totally respectable and even impressive costume for the BBC.
Same thing with like when they turn. They turn Perry into a bird person. Well, they turn them both into bird people eventually.
Well, because Perry is captured and she's thrown in with like there's like the rebel guy's girlfriend or whatever. She was in the clink and they rescue her or whatever.
And they
get rid of the rebel guy totally flatly, like they're escaping from the security guys in a golf cart, and he just kind of gets shot.
Yeah.
Then he's just kind of like not in the story anymore. And it's like, all right.
But because at first they make his girlfriend, they age her, and it looks really good, and then they also just turn her into a bird person for some reason.
Yes, they do.
But it's temporary. Like they turn off. They're
supposed to like mix up your DNA and like.
Yeah, they're gene splicing. They're not gene splicing with a purpose. They're just gene splicing to see what happens.
Yes.
There's this great scene where the doctor and the rebel guy both have guns and they're trained on the scientist guy, and like they've disarmed all the security guards who fold so easily constantly.
Well, their hearts aren't in it. They've had a long day. They probably haven't eaten in like 72 hours.
Yeah. Anyway, so and he's like, there's so many switches and buttons, like which one will turn it off? And the doctor's pointing a gun at him, And he's like, there's no time to choose, and he just spins around and shoots the console, and the guy like starts freaking out because he realizes like his plan failed.
Yeah, his bluff was
it's which is such a doctor move, is to like, I'm going to threaten you with this, but I'm like, I was never going to actually shoot you. Like,
yes, exactly. And that's why you can have things like that laser scene, and it doesn't go too far.
No.
And I mean, yes, last time around he was blowing apart Cybermen, but I mean, the robots, he was in direct combat. It's not like
But Peter Davison also blew apart Cybermen, and we love that story.
Yes, exactly.
It's weird and it's technically not appropriate, but in that situation, they're also mindless monsters. So like,
mindless monsters. I mean,
you can't save a Cyberman.
No,
man. Like you can't.
They are realistic, like looking people, which is I think is the difference.
It is a big difference. It's the same. Anytime we see real people dying, it's like that was whatever the first Doctor story was, where the dude falls off in the ice cave, and we're like, oh, that was intense for a kid's show.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but I mean, that's why you got to pull out the old chestnut. The Doctor Who is not a kid show; it's a family show.
That's true.
It's never been made by the BBC Children's Department. It's always been made.
I know. You know what I mean.
I know what you know. But the thing is, Doctor Who gets called a kid show a lot, and I'm not like defensive about that. If it was a kid show, I'd be happy to watch it anyway. I mean,
anything with whimsy gets called a kid's whatever.
But again, it's like I think a lot of people get defensive about that. But I think like Sarah Jane Adventures, I like that show. It's absolutely a kid show, but I like it. But Doctor Who isn't. It was never meant to be. And I think that was kind of the argument of the producers in having this kind of violent content in the show, is that it's not a kid show. Like,
yeah.
Doesn't have to be the children's department rules. So anyway, basically, yeah, Sill's bosses turn up, tell him to stop being a dick. The governor turns out to be kind of nice.
Well, the governor makes a last minute plea to like his chief, so not the leader, but like his chief security guard guy who like got promoted at the same time as him. And they basically have this unspoken relationship, and he's like, and like his plea isn't like, please save me. It's like, we have to, you know what's happening is wrong, like we can fix this together. So the death beam starts hitting him, and then the security guy shoots the beam so it'll turn off, and they like make a plea to the viewers. They're like, we're going to fix our society, here's just keep paying attention, basically. Oh, we also skipped the part where the Doctor gets quote unquote executed.
Oh yeah
where he makes a plea
into the acid bath thing, because he oh no, the hanging.
The hanging is what I mean.
Because there is one part earlier in the torture dome
where they think they killed him, and then he wakes up. He wakes up on the slab where they think he's dead. I mean, we knew he wasn't dead; he was just like unconscious or whatever. But that's the acid bath scene, is when he gets up, and literally which basically what you think is the coroner like freaks out and starts fighting him. Yeah.
Because there's two guards in there. One of them falls in the bath, and then in the acid, and then in the ensuing fight, his partner gets near enough that the other guy like grabs him, trying to pull himself out, and they both end up going in.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Doctor Who still not technically a murderer, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, the governor turns out to be mostly nice, and Sill's bosses tell him to stop being stupid, and the Doctor was almost hung, but we kind of glossed over that. And yeah. And then so the grateful governor says, Doctor, you can have whatever you want. And the Doctor's like, how about I get that piece of metal that I need for my crappy ship, because I just kind of wanted to go and get my tires rotated and not have to like fix your entire planet, but here we are. So yeah. That's pretty much it, I think. We covered anything else we're missing?
No, I think that's it.
That's pretty much it. I liked it. I think it's good. I think it's got good world building. I like the TV viewing meta commentary. I especially like the last line where the TV is deactivated and the characters don't know what to do with themselves anymore. It is dark. It is perhaps over the top in how dark it is. But it's to me, it has that like dark and gritty 80s vibe to me, which is like some may think cheesy, and I wouldn't disagree with it, but it's cheesy to me in the way that a fun B movie is cheesy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
It's grindhouse cheesy, I suppose.
Yeah.
Say it. And yeah, I think they did well with a limited budget. They put their money where it mattered. And they had villains that were mostly pretty grounded people. And I'm counting the governor as one of the villains because he's kind of he is opposed to our characters for most of the story. So not so much the mustache twirling guy or the Phantom of the Opera science guy, but Syl and the governor are pretty well fleshed out characters. The mustache guy and I think the Phantom of the Opera guy like chase the Doctor into this nest of like plant tendrils that just kill you, I guess, and then they kind of
poison.
Yeah, that was the only part of the story that I was kind of like not grooving on. Really, it was just
they had to get rid of them because it was time. They had
to get rid of them because it was time, and it was kind of anticlimactic. Really, he just kind of lures them in, and they touch the thing and fall over, and it's like, oh. It was anticlimactic way of getting rid of characters you don't need anymore, and that's the same thing too with the rebel guy, where they just kind of have him shot in a chase sequence, but they don't like focus on it or literally mention it. Like he just kind of falls over dead, and we move on. So not really. I don't know. It just feels kind of perfunctory, and I don't particularly like that.
Either way.
It's the same thing.
I agree. I agree. It's not without problems. It's not like a perfect episode, but it's so fun.
Yeah, but I really liked it. But I just thought I'd bring it up because it's the same shit that happened I guess 2 weeks ago with Attack of the Cybermen with like those the Wookiee prisoner people where they just got shot.
Oh yeah.
to the launch pad or whatever. So anyway,
overall it was good.
Yes, I very much liked it. I recommend this. Pick it up on DVD. Definitely one of the best Colin Baker episodes. Not that there's really a lot to choose from, but
Nope. We got one more season.
What happened? Yeah, we got one more season, and that entire season is like one big long story arc. So.
Does this mean there's a bajillion audios in between the season?
Of course it does. 100%.
Alrighty then. So what's up for next week, Kate?
Well, butter my ass and call me a biscuit. I should probably open up my list. Okay. We are caught up on our First Doctor stuff. At least for the next couple of weeks, because Early Adventures Season 5 is still ongoing. But anyway, we are still working on our Fifth Doctor backlog, so we will have a short trip entitled The Ingenious Gentleman Adric of Alzarius.
What?
So, holy fuck, I guess. We'll see. The dirtiest trick Big Finish ever pulled was making people want more Adric. If it's anything like A Full Life...
I was going to say they did, but then also they made him the Scorpion King.
Well, okay. That was before they actually had Matthew Waterhouse, though.
I don't care. That happened. I will never forget that. That's another one of our bad stories.
That's another one of those ones where you just kind of read it out of continuity and pretend. Just pretend Thomas Brewster showed up a lot earlier than he did with the stolen TARDIS.
It's one of those, there's only one Matrix movie.
Yeah, basically.
I guess two if you count the Animatrix. It's fine.
It's fine. I just don't... I for a while I was a defender of Reloaded, but it doesn't work on its own. And if you're gonna do Reloaded, you have to do Revolutions, and Revolutions sucks.
They're both... I think we gave The Matrix too much credit. It was neat.
The original movie is always going to be a classic.
It was neat.
Anyway, that's not
of its time. It's very of its time. If you want to talk about angst.
Adric of Elzari. Followed by our next Sixth Doctor television story, The Mark of the Rani.
Wait, does that mean we're like caught up on like audios?
No. Oh. We still have like 6 weeks of Fifth Doctor stuff. That was in our backlog, but we're caught up on like everything for the first 4.
Okay.
So
All right. So we'll be back with that.
Forever.
Bye, everyone.
That's it. Go away.